Going over to the political part podcast, you have Trump Build America Auto Plan suggesting a 15% tax for the U.S. and 1,000% tax on imported vehicles to bolster U.S. manufacturing, which, yeah, 1,000%, that would be huge. Or as he would say, huge, I have the greatest import tax ever. They will make stuff here or else. Probably you say something to that effect. Now, this comes to us thanks to Fox Business, which is somehow still in business. I don't know a lot of people are really fans of Fox these days. And the fact they never use that little cute fox as a mascot more for branding is ridiculous. But this does come to us thanks to Michael, who's a writer over there. And they say, quote, Trump proposes 15% corporate tax to save American auto industry, threatens 1,000% tariffs tax on imports. Which, yep. And he's also saying that Detroit's auto industry will be decimated as if by a foreign army, which, yeah, they can and will and are. I mean, it's one of those things where you can't beat China when it comes to cheap prices. Again, for better or worse, EVs are overall, in terms of like physical components, simpler to manufacture, much more like a smartphone than a traditional vehicle. And China, or Trump would say, China, they manufacture those things like they're hotcakes. Although I don't, rice cakes is probably a more appropriate metaphor. But in all seriousness, look at the iPhone production. Foxconn, major manufacturer or subcontractor manufacturer for Apple, they pop those things out like there's nothing over in China. And with a smart car, or not smart car, the specific brand, but EVs can be about the same, and you cannot beat China on a price point. And also with the technology, they just copy, steal, and paste so easily. I'm really skeptical about how many American automotive companies, especially the legacy big three, which Chrysler already went bankrupt and sold out to the Europeans with the Fiat and then being Stellantis. And Ford's been the only one, well, Ford and Tesla are the only ones not to go bankrupt historically in terms of American manufacturing automotive companies. But I don't know how well GM and Ford are going to transition to EVs. Also, the people don't really want them as much. They want hybrids, unfortunately. They should all want a stick shift in a good old big old gas engine, but that's just me. Yeah, I think Trump is reading the room right, because the automotive industry, they are under threat. Now, here's a little picture of Trump speaking at the Detroit Economic Club, which somehow there's still an economy in Detroit. I'm only partially kidding because my family grew up there, one in the actual downtown and one in a suburb, which, yeah, Detroit has been not great for several decades. But they'll be good next year, like the Chicago Bears. Ha, that's a sports balls joke, because for decades, all my friends in the Midwest said, oh yeah, the Bears will be good next year, which, spoiler alert, they have not been, they will not be. Now, going to the actual substance of the article, now they say, quote, Trump spoke at the Detroit Economic Club where he announced a new plan to supercharge American auto industry and warned he could slap up to 1,000% tariffs on foreign imported vehicles if elected in his second term. The plan is dubbed Build It in America Plan, consists of a corporate tax rate of 15% for companies that choose to manufacture their products in the U.S., as well as tax credits for research and development and fully tax-deductible interest on car loans for small businesses, which, yeah, the fact that not 100% research development is tax-deductible is moronic, to say at least to me. Now, Trump said that Michigan and Detroit were once the world's capital of automotive production until it was squandered by Washington policies, well, and Detroit policies, let's be honest. But he vowed to bring it back, which, again, there's also big cultural reasons why Detroit is, a lot of crimes, a lot of drugs. There are many variables of why Detroit crumbled into nothingness. But, yeah, having a decrease in the corporate tax rate to 15%, that'd be pretty nice. That'd help out this company. It's more money for research, development, and innovation, as well as paying employees. Now, he says, quote, Detroit was decimated as if by a foreign army. This was a foreign army invading us, but it was... Oh, wait. Trump is saying this. So obviously I have to at least attempt my futile attempt to my Trump accent. Detroit was decimated as if by a foreign army. This was a foreign army invading us, but it was an army of business people, very brilliant business people, and that took the candy out of our pockets just like you take it from a baby. It was that easy for them. I mean, probably said something to that effect. Oh, no, he did say something to that effect. Well, he probably sounded a lot better than me. But they also know that the U.S. lost nearly 4 million manufacturing jobs after Oh, it's Trump as well. Gotta keep going. The U.S. lost nearly 4 million manufacturing jobs after globalist politicians gave us 2 disasters of NAFTA and the China entry into WTO. Nearly 250,000 jobs were destroyed here in Michigan alone, including 40% of all auto jobs. Factories are left in ruins, beautiful hotels, and theaters crumbled, more than 80,000 homes abandoned. Which, yeah, that's all facts. It's also competition, and it's hard for Trump to... He's not going to say this, but one of the biggest variables of why U.S. automotive have gone down in sales and quality is the unions. And again, I have family and friends on both sides of the aisle in terms of union worker and management worker at the big 3 automotive companies. kind of result or inevitable thing when you have family living in Michigan. They're the biggest employers. You usually work for one of them, and the cost every year just keeps going up and up and up for the unions, and the quality goes down. Now, you could argue maybe that's because, well, some of it is human error. They literally installed the wrong headlights and seats at the Ford truck plant, the union workers there. Some of it you could argue is because the companies have less money to spend on higher quality, components of the vehicles because they're paying the union members more. I mean, they make such vast amounts of money, and they also, the most hilarious, ironic things, the unions endorse Biden and give him, like, they've endorsed Democrats for decades and get them elected, and then they get more favorable government treatment. But they voted for someone who wants to destroy their job. That's the most hilariously ironic thing. Because again, look at what the Biden administration is doing in terms of destroying the automotive community. All these EV mandates, which again, they're de facto gasoline bans because of the tailpipe emission standards or the averages. The only way to hit the averages is more EVs. The most profitable thing that the big three made, the big three being Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler, which again is also Dodge and Jeep. Well, the most profitable, best thing they ever made was a good old American V8 engine, the internal combustion engine. That's the most profitable thing they made. And again, some of these union contracts do include profit sharing. They're doing great for decades, though still losing market share to stuff like Toyota and Honda. But again, they're pushing EVs, which will inevitably mean a decrease in the number of people who need to assemble the vehicle, less amount of more entry-level positions or rudimentary activities. So then, because they're going to be making EVs, there'll be more software engineers. The number of employees overall might increase, but they literally voted and endorsed someone who's destroying their industry. And I'm very skeptical in terms of, will the big three actually transition successfully to EVs? It took Elon years to get Tesla to be profitable. And don't get me wrong, statistically speaking, he's the most impressive outlier in history when it comes to businesses. And I just don't know if it's going to be enough to help out these companies. Now, Trump also said this tax, the 15% corporate tax would be decreased from 21%, which again, these taxes are already too much, especially compared to the global business world. The U.S. has one of the highest tax rates. And dude, I actually make the argument that businesses shouldn't have to pay taxes because they're generating jobs. And again, by the time you get your paycheck, you're so screwed over. You get so little because again, you get the corporate tax. Your paycheck's taxed, 8 ways to. It's such a frustrating thing. I can't even get something out eloquently. Like, your paycheck is stolen so much by the time it actually gets to you. When the government takes all their fees and taxes, it's barely anything. And again, this would be huge, or Trump would say huge. And again, I think the U.S. automotive industry desperately needs some help, especially China continuing growing in size and capabilities. And they're going to get around some of these tariffs by making some things in Mexico. We'll see if Trump could have a new amendment because then the NAFTA, so he had to do something else there. Now he says also that to help small businesses afford work vehicles, they need to get the jobs done. He vowed to double the amount of equipment investment that can deduct under Section 179 from $500,000 to $1 million, which that'd be great as well. Another thing that, again, is so hard. I have being a small business owner, I have a great disdain for most of these policies and regulations and rules that make it such a pain to actually start a small business and grow a company. And one of the issues is they keep changing the laws, and more often than not, even when Republicans are in office, you just get screwed over being the little guy. Like, you can't even carry over profits from one year to another, just gets taxed, while larger businesses can. So you're not really incentive to keep the company stable by having savings in there. But of all that, one of the biggest issues is you used to be able to tax deduct a certain percentage of a vehicle if it's dedicated for work. That percentage is decreasing throughout the years. Now, this would be great because that would increase that tax deduction, which again, if it's used 100% for work, in my opinion, it should be 100% tax deductible. It doesn't matter if your company has a fleet of 10 trucks or 100 or 500 trucks or whatever they're driving there. Now, he also says he announced that the Trump advanced administration will also make interest on car loans fully tax deductible, like mortgage interest is deductible, so small businesses can afford work vehicles to get the job done, which I would love that. Wouldn't personally impact me because, shoot, I have a personal car that I use for work, for drop-offs, knocking on doors, prospecting, and meetings, but for all the right, even if we do IT recycle, usually don't need to rent a truck more than a couple times a year. I partially digress. They say Congress in 1986 repealed the federal deduction for interest paid on auto and consumer loans as part of the tax reform bill. Ridiculous. In September, buyers paid an average interest rate of 7.1% and 11.2% on used cars, according to research company Edmunds, which, yeah. Now, Trump also said, this is where it really gets attention. Yeah, I'll do the impression one more time. I will impose whatever tariffs are required, 100%, 200%, 1,000%. They're not going to sell any more cars in the United States with those plants they're building over there. Which he also says one more. We're not going to let them come into our country and destroy what's left of our auto industry because it's a failing industry, just like it's a failed country right now. We're a failing country. You know, we're a nation in decline, quote, which, yeah, pretty much by every single metric, yeah, we are. We definitely need some major changes to help get things back on track and, improve things in the United States. And it'll be, again, in terms of the, the implications of, bringing more jobs to the United States. I mean, there's a reason pretty much every, German and Japanese automotive manufacturer does have at least 1 or 2 or 3 sites in the United States. Look at Toyota, best car company, largest, most impressive automotive company on the planet. I mean, they famously headquartered, of course, in Japan, but in terms of the United States, they're headquartered in the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas, specifically in Plano, Texas. They have facilities or, actual manufacturing sites throughout the whole U.S. And part of that is not just the cost, there's a cost of shipping a vehicle across the globe, and also logistics and timing, but there's also tax implications. Made in America is also a good thing for a couple people still care about that, including myself. But there are many reasons. I mean, one at a time is also prohibitively expensive. That there's political, tax implications of why they made more vehicles here, to the point where a lot of the companies that, they're maybe owned, Germany or other places globally, they still make them in America. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just so bad in terms of all these products and all these politicians that have sold us out throughout the years and given competitive advantage to other countries. And it'll be interesting to see if, Trump does get elected. Is this enough to save the automobile community in the United States? Is it enough to save the big three? Is it enough to get them more jobs? He also said day one he's going to pull back these EV mandates. If you have a job in the auto community, I'd be baffled to ask. It'd be almost incomprehensible why you'd vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Because again, Trump is saying he's going to get rid of these mandates, and in theory, protect your jobs from these foreign vehicles, which I think another byproduct of this thing, if it does pass and he does get elected, you will have more vehicles made in the USA. Who knows, maybe they have a Porsche manufactured in Texas. Who knows, maybe Volkswagen Group will increase their, factories in the US. There will be more jobs here. Now, the downside is it could increase the cost of goods sold into the cost of the consumer, especially if they become unionized labor. Don't get me started, but I think overall this could help out the automotive community, and I think it's going to be a good political move. I think if you're an auto worker, especially your frontline assembly work, I think this is going to be a big attraction to have people, maybe get them across that, finish line of what is the compelling reason over Trump. And I do think this would be good for the legacy automotive manufacturers in the United States. And it would fend off the big, 800-pound, panda in the room with China with their EVs. Because again, if there's absolutely no tariffs, they would just eat everyone's lunch. The price points are so aggressive by the Chinese manufacturers, and they're so apt in they're pretty good at copy pasting technology and ripping it off. So yeah, I think it's kind of inevitable. I wouldn't be. Well, who knows? By the time maybe this publishes, or renders and uploads, Kamala Harris will actually just copy paste this policy as well, as she often does. But let me know: is this enough to actually protect the automotive manufacturing in the United States? Do you think China will just find another way around it? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make sure better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.